Hey, what's up, comic fans? Mr. Q Comics back with some more show and tell. All right, today I've got a great haul. I was out in Western New York for work between Rochester and Buffalo. I was driving out there for 4 days or so, so I had the opportunity to hit up a whole bunch of shops around Rochester and Buffalo, a couple other towns in Western New York. So I got a ton of books. I'm going to split this up into two hauls because it's just too many to show off in one video. So before I dive into part one, guys, if you're a fan of haul videos, please do me a favor, go down below, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think about these books. All right, so we will start out with some of the books I picked up. This was in Rochester. I think I was there the first night. And looking for, as always, I'm always looking for local shops and antique shops that are relatively close. I don't want to, take an hour detour to get somewhere. But I found a shop called Rhino's Comics right in Rochester. Popped in there. It's kind of towards the end of the night because I think I got in late. It's a lengthy drive for me, but I was able to score some great books. The guys were fantastic there. Hung out for well after closing, just kind of shooting the breeze with these guys. So fantastic shop. Again, Rhino's Comics in Rochester, New York. We got talking about a lot of Dave Stevens work. I was looking for Dave Stevens covers, and they were also Dave Stevens fans. Didn't have any success with some Dave Stevens, but did pick up a copy of Rocketeer #1. Adam Hughes cover, homage here to, not really an homage, but of course referencing Dave Stevens' Rocketeer work. So I think this is a recent one-shot that popped up. So again, we were talking pretty much about Dave Stevens the entire time. So they showed me that and I grabbed that. And then another Adam Hughes cover. This is one of those, the Gun Honey series, I believe. It was an incentive variant, wasn't bad. Decent shape, but I think it was like 15, 20 bucks, something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, great Adam Hughes cover. I'm a huge fan of Adam Hughes for kind of modern pinup art. So happy to grab that. Not a hugely popular series, I don't believe. And I think they did a crap ton of variant covers for that series. As is, the norm nowadays, but was able to score a few vintage books as well. This is a book that had eluded me for a while. I've just never wanted to pay up for, but I finally grabbed one. Avengers 112. This is the first appearance of Mantis. This is not in fantastic shape, probably mid-grade, which is fine for me. And I think it was around 20 bucks, something like that. So cool pickup there. This was just in their bins. I thought this was a great price. Hulk 141. This is the first appearance of Doc Samson. This is probably VG range, but again, this is about 34 bucks, I think is what I grabbed this for. So happy to get that. And then they had some wall books. Prices were to me a little bit on the high side, but they were completely negotiable with prices. So I think they sell a lot on Whatnot. So they did not have a ton of wall books, but they had gotten in some really nice ASM. Not super early, but I needed an upgrade on my copy of 38. I had this black ink stain that always drove me nuts, and they had a really solid copy of it there. So 38 is the last Ditko cover, and I guess it's the second cameo of Mary Jane. It's one of those ones where face keeps being blocked until issue 42, which is her first full appearance. But this is a really solid mid-grade copy, probably in the fine range. The copy I had someone to color this whole panel in with like black marker, and it just always drove me crazy. So they had it there, and I wasn't sure if they're going to be flexible, but I bundled up a few things. I also picked up, I have this, but I couldn't resist another copy of ASM number 39. This just awesome, classic Romita Green Goblin cover. I mean, if you're an ASM fan, you gotta have this book. This is just absolutely phenomenal. Again, mid-grade, probably closer to the VG range. So I was able to bundle everything up right around 500 bucks, which I thought was pretty fair. I was hoping to get this a little bit cheaper. I think he had it at like 450 or something initially, but yeah, very happy with those books. The guys were great. They, he gave me a list of other books in the area. I always let the shop owners know I'm from out of town. I'm always hitting up local shops, local antique shops, looking to find, rare books, good deals, all that stuff. And just a great shop, really great overall experience, and just appreciate the deal. And those guys point me in the right directions here. So that is it for those books. I was able to hit up a couple of antique shops. So I hit up one in Ontario, New York, real small one. This is kind of weird. It had like, I don't know what it was. It was like, it wasn't an antique shop. It was more like handmade goods, but they also had an antique shop in a second building. Did not have a ton of books, but I was able to find a couple. I got a copy of Walt Disney Comics and Stories. volume 6, number 10. So I think each volume is 12 issues, I think. But usually I avoid the Disney stuff, right? You go into any antique shop, you see all the Dell Disney stuff everywhere. But it's once you get into these 10 centers, you're getting into the 40s books. There can be some definite value in there. So it is worth picking them up. To me, in my opinion, if you can find them cheap. I think this guy had a sale and this was like 17 bucks. It's not in the best of shape. Good, very good. But I'll take a 3.0 on a book from the 40s as long as it's complete, every day of the week. So happy to find that. And it was this random stall in there with hardly any books. Also had this copy. It's not in great shape, but Phantom Stranger, number 10 from DC. This is, I'm forgetting what, this is, you know what, did I write it down? I didn't even write down what this is, but it's a key issue. I can't remember. It's a first appearance of someone, but I think this is a Neil Adams cover, which I did not have. I'm pretty positive that's Neil Adams. It's almost got that Bernie Wrightson look, but I'm pretty positive that is a Neil Adams cover. So very cool there. I think it was $8, something like that. So no brainer to me. Happy to add that one to the PC. Hit up another antique shop, and I don't know if these were all in sequence. I was bouncing around so much that week. But this one was a big antique shop, Ontario Antique Mall, and they had a ton of cases. There were a lot of books, but it was, when you go into some of these antique malls and you got to get into the cases, it can be tedious to get someone to open the case, and you got to dig through these books, and then you're just not sure. Most of them seem overpriced, which, if you go to antique shops, the vast majority of the books you find are overpriced, but occasionally you find some good deals. So this one got some okay books, nothing crazy, but I got a copy of Legends, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, number 17. This is, I don't know if it's the first introduction of Venom, but it's one of them, maybe the second, something like that. I always thought it was a cool cover. It was a couple of bucks, so I have to grab that. Copy of Uncanny X-Men 257. Only grab this because it's one of those great Jim Lee covers from the 80s X-Men, and it's a newsstand copy, which in this time period always seems to sell a little bit higher. Jim Lee from this run of Uncanny is always really popular, and this is one of those Psylocke minor keys. I can't remember what it is, but I've always loved this cover. So again, couple bucks was worth grabbing. And then I found one stall, happened to be open, which was nice, and they had multiple copies of Batman Dark Knight. This was book 2. I'm pretty sure these are all first print, like $10. So I think I have book 2. I got 2 copies of that. He had a bunch of Star Wars priced pretty reasonably too, which was surprising. I think those are both like in VF range. And then I don't think I had book 4, so I was happy to grab that. Like I said, all around VF, and I think they were like $10. So happy to grab those. And then some random Golden Age in one of the bins, not Golden Age, 10-cent covers, Atlas War. We got Battlefront number, tough to read this number, I think that's 48. It's in black in the dark blue there. These are not in the best of shape, not terrible, probably good, very good range. So I think that was like $22, something like that. And then we've got a couple issues of Combat Kelly. I think this one vendor, he only had a few books like this, and I took all 3 of them. Combat Kelly 43 and 44. And I'm assuming these are from 57 since someone wrote 1957 right on the cover. I mean, it's obviously after the CCA, but 10-cent Atlas War. Typically not hugely expensive, but you can find some pretty cool covers in there. So those were fun finds. And then I was leaving a meeting. I found, I was leaving Buffalo, and I'm going to totally butcher the town I stopped in. Cheektowaga, I think that's it. I'm sure I'm butchering it. So found this random shop. I drove by. I wasn't even looking. I was just heading back to my hotel, and I saw a shop called the Card Store. I stopped. He ended up being closed. Total sidebar, I have a new Jeep, but it's all manual, and I absolutely locked my keys in the car, which totally sucked. It was like humid. I'm in my dress pants and polos, standing in the humidity, having to call AAA. Completely sucked. I have not had a manual lock car in decades, and I totally spaced it and left the keys in, so that sucked. But finally got out, and the guy still had not opened. He was delayed, but finally he opened up. I got in the shop, mostly cards. Full of cards. He had a ton of modern books. And I thought, oh man, I've been waiting this whole time. I locked my keys in the car. This is a complete bust. I let him deal with the other customers that were waiting in front of me, and then I just ask if he happens to have any books, any other books, older stuff, Golden Age, vintage. And it turns out the guy was a big vintage dealer. Golden Age stuff, he just didn't put it in his shop. He sold everything on Heritage, I believe. So he didn't even keep it in the shop, but he happened to purchase like a stack of Golden Age a couple days before. So he pulls out like 20 bucks, has to price them on the fly. I mean, he's got like early Superman, like Superman 22. He's got some Captain Marvels. He's got a couple of cool books that I was really interested in. And he priced some out for me. I was in there for a while, and I thought the prices were just, not what I was looking to pay. But I totally understood because the guy was very upfront that all of this stuff, he gets it graded. He sells at Heritage. So, I knew it was a long shot, but I was able to walk out of there with one pretty solid book. This is Sparkler Comics, number 42. I grabbed this because I love Bern Hogarth art. He did one of those drawing guides. I forget what it's called. He did this great drawing guide, 20 years ago, 30 years ago that I picked up when I was a kid. And he did, it had all of his artwork from these Tarzan comic strips. And this was a solid mid-grade copy of 42. I've only got one other one, which you see here, the Sparkler number 8. I think the number's torn off, that awesome shark cover. And this was, I think he gave it to me around $225, which it's a mid-grade copy. It's probably fine. I was happy with that. I thought his other books were, really high. Hopefully he'll get back out there. It sounds like this guy's got a ton of great stuff and is dealing in really, big boy books, like six-figure books. So hopefully I can connect with him again, see some of the other stuff. So we'll see if that pans out in the future. But happy with that pickup for the PC. All right, and now we are into, I hit up this one shop that the guy at Rhinos Comics had recommended. This was in, I'm going to butcher this one, I think it's Canandaigua, New York. I believe it was Pulp Nouveau Comics. Pulp Nouveau, can't remember the full name. It was Comics and Vinyl, something like that. Very cool shop. I walked in there. A ton of stuff, not just comics, but he did modern, really cool shop. He did pull list. He had a bunch of vintage stuff. So started digging through the kind of more recent stuff. And as typical, I let people know I'm from out of town. I'm always hitting up local shops. I ask if they're willing to, make deals if I'm buying a bunch of stuff. And most of the time, people are super accommodating. So this guy was as well. I got some great books here. So out of the bins, the first ones I grabbed, I got a copy of Batman number 200. This is in rough shape, but this is that anniversary issue. I believe this is the first, I think it's the first Neil Adams on the Batman title from 1968. This is rough. It's water damage. It's probably, a 3.0, something like that. But it's always a great book to grab. I think when I bundled it up, I think it worked out to like $16. So very happy to get that. I mean, I have a better copy, but I couldn't pass it up for that price. This is one I've wanted for a while. I'm not a huge DC guy, but I love all the quirky DC books, especially the ones that are connected to pop culture of that time period. I've been wanting this one, Batman 222. This is the Beatles cover. Again, not in great shape, but this is the one that's inspired by Sgt. Pepper's. It's from 1970. It references the whole Paul being dead thing. Man, I've wanted this one for a long time. It's just super cool. Not great shape, probably VG range, but it worked out to like $24, which was a great price for this. Sorry, you got some bad glare on there. Let me move the light. Very cool book in high grade, can be pretty pricey. So happy with that one for now. And then he didn't have a ton of Golden Age, but he did have one low grade copy of Web of Mystery. I can't find the number on this one. I think it's 17. A little pre-code horror. 11. Probably good range. This is from Ace Magazine's 1952. Don't know who did the cover art. Couldn't find that. Only, I think, 29 issues in this series. If you're new to kind of pre-code, and I consider myself still kind of green with the Golden Age stuff, this is one of those series that I think is a little more affordable. There's not a ton of major keys. And by more affordable, I mean copies in the, hundreds of dollars instead of thousands of dollars. It's all expensive, but very cool there. It's complete. Rough shape, chipping away, all that stuff. But I think whatever it worked out to, less than $60. That was a no-brainer. And then the big stuff that I got from him, nothing crazy expensive, but I saw a bunch of magazine boxes, and I always ask permission. I'm always polite and respectful. I asked permission if it was all right to look through these. He's up front, you know, yeah, nothing's priced because I just saw Vampirella and stuff like that. So was able to score a bunch of Frank Frazetta covers from the Warren magazine series. So we got a copy of Creepy #4, and none of these are in great shape. This one's got some water stains you can probably make out there, but they worked out. I don't think any of the, maybe one of them. Most of these were under 20 bucks. There was one bigger book that I picked up as well, but it's just great Frazetta cover, werewolf cover from, I think this one's from 1965. I happen to have a better copy that I picked up at an antique shop, but I wasn't going to leave behind a second copy. We've got #7. This is just an awesome Wolfman versus Dracula. This cover's awesome. Wolfman's choking out Drac. This one, I think, from 66, I believe. Super cool there. This one's probably mid-grade, closer to fine range. He did have 2, so I took them both. A little chipping on that one, but very cool stuff. Creepy #15. This one I also already did have, but this one just is super cool, kind of caveman one. I love it. I love just the, you know, dark tones there. Very cool. And again, these, I mean, these ones were all like 10 bucks, something like that, when we bundled it all up. So I don't think they're super expensive in low grade. I mean, it's when you get into the higher grades and there's certain particular Frazetta covers that are, you know, real pricey. This one I love as well. This one's probably the roughest shape of all of them. It's got some bad chipping on the edge, but again, I wasn't leaving it there. Creepy #32. This one, I don't know what the date is on this. 1970 on this one. Again, Fiji range. The chipping kind of annoys me, but I don't come across these often. So for whatever it was, 15 bucks, it was worth it. We got, all right, now we're into Eerie. We've got Eerie #3. Again from Warren. This is like that weird sea monster one. This one was, this one's probably closer to fine range. And again, it's like 16 bucks. I think it worked out to. And then the big Frazetta cover I was able to score. This is the best one he had in there. This is Eerie #23. This is not in great shape. It's got a lot of bad color up, but man, this thing is absolutely, what a beautiful piece of art. This is the Egyptian Queen art. This original art I saw sold for $5.4 million on Heritage in, I believe, 2019, which is absolutely crazy. So this one's from 1969. This was the more expensive one, worked out to about 57 bucks. So awesome pickup there. It's got some pretty rough color up, but still. This one was cool. I did not know he did any covers on Eerie, but it's a Steranko cover on issue 25. I did grab 2 of those as well. That thing is absolutely beautiful. I would not have recognized it was Steranko without a signature there. So very happy with that. And then last couple of books here. Last magazine, we've got a copy of Vampirella, #31. Another solid, probably, you know, VG, fine range. This one's from 1974. So, all right. And then the big book I got from this guy, he had it on the wall. And I figured, all right, I got a shot at bundling this stuff up. And I thought this was a solid price. I have it. I think I've showed it off before, but this is one of the few Dells I you know, will pick up. It is a copy of Lobo #1 from 1965. It's the origin and first appearance of Lobo. This is the first African-American character to headline his own title. Decent shape. It's off-white pages. This one has got some significant wrinkling. I can't tell if the cover's detached from the top staple. I think it is, but the graders note didn't say that. So I thought this one had a shot at being pressed out. I think he had 300 on this, so I was able to bundle everything up for 500 bucks cash, which I thought was a great deal. Again, I have a copy, but mine's got a wicked bad tear on it, so I'm super happy to grab that. You don't come across this one too often in local shops. So very cool shop. Again, Pulp Nouveau in Canandaigua. Check it out if you're in the area. That is it for part 1 of the haul, guys. Stay tuned for part 2 because I got some crazy books in there. So again, if you're a fan of these videos, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk to you soon.